The smell hit me first. Diesel fuel mixed with fresh-cut applewood. It was 6 in the morning, and they were already pouring concrete on my land. 28 luxury condos, valued at $4. $2 million, were rising across 47 acres I own with a clear title stretching back to 1961, when my grandfather first bought the place. The HOA president, Darlene Pritchett, had driven past the day before in her white Lexus with those smug community-first vanity plates, waving like we were just neighbors squabbling over fence height. This wasn't polite. She'd forged permits, bulldozed my grandfather's 80-year-old orchard, and turned my property into her personal retirement cash cow. No permission, no offer, just pure entitlement backed by a real estate license. Her grand opening party was scheduled in 7 days. My demolition crew was already lined up and ready. What would you do if you woke up to concrete trucks rumbling across your land? Drop a comment below. I'm curious. And tell me, where are you watching from? HOA corruption seems to pop up everywhere. My name is Mitch Kowalski. I'm 52, third-generation owner of this land, a retired civil engineer who moved back to my grandfather's old farmhouse about 18 months ago after my wife passed. Cancer took 4 long years to claim her, and she fought every single day until the very end. I came home here to figure out what came next. 47 acres of overgrown pasture, pine forest on the north side, and that apple orchard Grandpa planted back in 1943. The place still smelled like pine sap and old memories. Grandpa always used to say, "This land got plans, Mitch. You just have to wait for the right ones." I was still waiting. The property sits just outside Pinewood Springs, a mid-sized mountain town where Californians flee the traffic only to complain that the coffee shops close at 4 p.m. In 2019, a developer built Willow Creek Estates right next door, gated community, 120 homes, HOA fees high enough to fund a small country. That's where Darlene lived. White Lexus, helmet hair, designer athleisure that probably cost more than my truck, and the kind of smile that makes you double-check your wallet. As HOA president, she acted like an unelected dictator with a clipboard. 6 months after I moved back, she cornered me at the corner cafe. She slid into my booth without asking, introduced herself, and cut straight to it. "We're concerned about your property, Mitch. It's become an eyesore, overgrown, attract coyotes, you understand. Would you consider selling? We give you a fair price." I set my coffee mug down with a solid thunk. "It's not for sale." Her smile froze like cheap Botox. "Well, we'll see. Property maintenance codes exist for a reason." 2 weeks later, code enforcement showed up. The county inspector, Earl, 70 years old, seen everything twice, walked my land with his clipboard and found nothing wrong. "Anonymous complaint," he said apologetically. "Hazardous debris, illegal structures." "Total bull. Mitch, you're fine." I asked who filed it. He looked at his boots. "Can't say officially, but those fancy gates next door." I'd start there. I let it go, figuring Darlene was just flexing small-time power and that small-time people eventually get bored. Then I left for 2 weeks in late March. My wife always wanted her ashes scattered in Yellowstone. She loved how the mountains made her feel small in the best way. I stood at an overlook, wind whipping hard, and watched her become part of something bigger than both of us. When I got home, my land looked like a crime scene. Survey stakes everywhere, bright orange tape fluttering along my eastern line like an invasion force. I called the number on the tags, a surveying company out of Denver. The receptionist sounded bored. "Oh, you're Kowalski. Willow Creek, HOA hired us for a boundary dispute." Boundary dispute. That night, I pulled my deed, sat under Grandpa's old brass lamp, the one hot enough to fry an egg on the shade, and read every word. The property line was crystal clear, surveyed in 1961, confirmed in 87, unchanged when I inherited it. No dispute, no confusion, except the one Darlene was inventing. I called her. She answered with that honey-drip voice. "Oh, Mitch, it's just a formality." Our lawyer found discrepancies in the original plat. Don't make this difficult. Think of the community. I told her there were no discrepancies. This was my land. She paused, and when she spoke again, the honey was gone. Well, I suppose that's for the courts to decide. Blessed day. Click. That was 4 months ago. I hired my own surveyor, $3,200, and he confirmed what I knew. My land, my boundary, no dispute. I sent Darlene a certified letter with the survey attached. No response. 3 weeks of silence, and I thought she'd back down. Then I woke up to the smell of diesel and the sound of my grandfather's orchard being murdered. I walked out at 6:15 in my bathrobe, coffee mug in hand, genuinely wondering if I lost my mind. 3 bulldozers, 2 concrete trucks, 30 guys in hard hats moving across my land like they owned it. Morning fog hung low as they ripped trenches through the pasture where Grandpa taught me to ride. A dozer pushed over an apple tree, roots snapping like gunfire, and something in my chest went cold and sharp. The foreman ignored my shouting, machinery too loud, or maybe he was paid to be deaf. I climbed into the site trailer without knocking. Randall Pritchett, Darlene's husband, real estate developer, golf course tan, sat at a folding table covered in blueprints. He looked up and smiled like we were old friends. "Mitch, morning coffee." I said, "You're on my land." He didn't blink. "Actually, check your facts. HOA filed an adverse possession claim 2 weeks ago. This land's been in legal limbo since 1998. We're just rectifying an old error." My jaw tightened. That's not how adverse possession works. This was criminal trespassing. Randall leaned back, then called the cops. "Oh, hot. Why, shudip deni jaw. We golf every Thursday. Good luck, buddy." I called anyway. Dispatcher said a deputy would come when available, small town code, for maybe by Tuesday. 4 hours later, a nervous kid deputy showed up, adjusted his belt constantly, looked at both sets of documents, then delivered the line I dreaded. "This is civil, sir. You need a lawyer and an injunction." Randall smirked from the trailer doorway. Right there, I understood the game. Rich people don't break rules. They rewrite them faster than you can read and dare you to keep up. I drove to county records, brain spinning through property law from my engineering days. Adverse possession requires open, notorious, continuous use for 20 years minimum in this state. Willow Creek was built in 2019, 5 years ago. Mathématiquement impossible. But then I remember my old boss's line. In court, the truth is just the starting bid. Filing a bogus claim creates legal fog, clouds the title, delays enforcement. While you scramble for lawyers, they keep building. The bet is you'll run out of money before they run out of concrete. The county clerk, Diane, reading glasses on a chain, seen every scam twice, pulled up Darlene's filing. Her face changed as she read. "Honey, this claims the HOA used your land since 2000 for community recreation, open and notorious." My stomach dropped. "The HOA didn't exist until 2019. She nodded. "I know this is faker than a $3 bill, but it's filed. Official until a judge tosses it, and that takes time." She printed 23 pages of lies, notarized, stamped, $7 for documentation of my own fraud. Next morning, I went back with a homemade stop work order. Not legal, but it looked official, and I was too angry to care. The crew laughed. One guy missing a front tooth said, "Nice try, bud," and went back to the excavator. By afternoon, foundation trenches were 6 feet deep, and Grandpa's 80-year-old apple trees were mulch. I found his surveying journal in the rubble. Leather cover, careful handwriting for 1961, photos of the land when it was just prairie and dreams, pages torn, spine cracked, covered in mud and diesel. I sat on a dirt pile holding it, feeling the same rage I'd felt at my wife's funeral. Watching something irreplaceable destroyed by people who don't even understand what they're killing. That night in the dark farmhouse. No lights, just silence. My wife's voice came back from one of her bad chemo days. "You're the guy who fixes things everyone says are broken for good, Mitch. Don't forget that." I made my decision. This wasn't about stopping construction anymore. It was about burning down Darlene's entire scam, so she could never do it to anyone else. My neighbor Hap, 70-year-old rancher, chews tobacco like it's medicinal, called that night. He'd watched through binoculars all day. That Lexus lady showed up in heels at a construction site. City folk got no sense. I almost laughed. Almost. Next morning, I hired a property attorney. Elena Vasquez arrived in a Tesla that made my Ford look like a lawn ornament. Mid-40s, sharp as a knife, reputation for making opposing counsel cry. We walked the property line while she photographed the construction and flipped through my deed versus the HOA's fraudulent filing. Near where Grandpa's orchard used to be, she stopped. This is the most brazen land fraud I've seen in 18 years. We'll win. Hope flickered for 3 seconds before she added, but the injunction hearing's 3 weeks out. They'll finish and start selling before we see a judge. My stomach dropped. So we're screwed. Elena smiled. Not friendly. In traditional court, yes. Lucky for you, I'm not traditional. Over coffee in my farmhouse, she explained lease penned-ins, suit pending, a legal hand grenade filed with the county when property's under litigation. It doesn't stop construction, but poisons the title so no bank will touch a mortgage, no buyer risks their money. They can build all the condos they want, she said, typing on her laptop. But if nobody can buy them, what's the point? She filed a lawsuit and lease penned-ins right there at my kitchen table before her coffee went cold. First real good news since this started. I should have known Darlene would fight like a cornered animal. 2 days later, she showed up at my door. I filmed everything on my phone. Designer yoga pants, fake concern radiating like cheap perfume. Mitch, this lawsuit is embarrassing for you. Our development brings jobs, tax revenue, progress. You're blocking all that over sentimentality. I kept the phone steady. It's my land, Darlene. Clear title since 1961. She sighed like I was a child refusing medicine. We have $4. $2 million invested. You have a falling down farmhouse and memories. Who do you think the judge believes? Then she handed me an envelope and walked away. Inside, a countersuit for $500,000. Tortious interference with contract, claiming my lease penned-ins scared off buyers. The math clicked. This wasn't about right or wrong. It was about who could afford to fight longer. Elena called it a war of attrition. They're betting you'll run out of money before they run out of lawyers. Most people do. But I had something Darlene didn't count on. Free time, stubbornness, and a dead wife who taught me quitting is just dying in slow motion. I spent 4 days at the public library. Home internet moves like a glacier with arthritis, digging through business records and archives. On day 3, I found the pattern. Pritchett Properties LLC had pulled this scam before. Nevada, Arizona, Texas, 4 projects with boundary disputes that mysteriously resolved after original owners ran out of funds. In Nevada, Mike and Carol Brennan lost their family ranch in 2021. A local paper called it tragic but inevitable. I tracked Mike down through the reporter. When he answered, his voice was hollow. Long silence, then off phone. Carol, it's that man from Colorado. He came back crying, son, don't let them win. They took our ranch, our savings. Carol had a stroke from the stress. We lost everything because we couldn't afford the appeal. Don't let them do this again. I promised him, voice thick, sitting alone under fluorescent lights. I wasn't just going to beat them. I was going to burn their operation down so publicly they'd never work in real estate again. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., Hap texted, construction sites lit up. They're working nights now. Greedy bastards don't even rest. I texted back 5 words. Neither do I. Game on. Darlene went nuclear on a Thursday. I woke to 17 missed calls and a text from Hap. Check the newspaper. The Pinewood Springs Gazette, usually bake sales and bad high school football, ran a full op-ed by Darlene. Selfish landowner blocks community progress. She painted me as a bitter recluse hoarding land while families needed housing. Mentioned my wife's death as evidence of mental decline. Suggested grief made me irrational. Kicker quote, Mr. Kowalski's nostalgia for the past shouldn't prevent 28 families from having homes. It hit Facebook by noon and went viral in that small-town way where everyone becomes a property law expert overnight. I read comments during lunch and lost my appetite. Strangers judged my mental health, land management, right to exist. One suggested eminent domain for the greater good. Another, maybe if he moved on from his dead wife, he'd stop being such an underscore. At the hardware store, Dale, who'd sold me lumber for 10 years, wouldn't make eye contact. Can't take sides, Mitch. It's business. At the coffee shop, a woman in Lululemon stopped at my table. You're blocking those condos. My daughter needs affordable housing. I started explaining fraud, forged documents. She walked away mid-sentence. For the first time since my wife died, I felt truly isolated. Not lonely, but like the town had voted me off the island. Elena called. Write a response. Set the record straight. I wrote 800 words, detailed, factual. The editor, nervous guy who admitted Randall bought half-page ads monthly, published 3 sentences making me sound defensive and paranoid. Elena's advice, stop playing defense. We go on offense in public. I remember construction bonds from engineering days. Insurance developers post to protect buyers if title goes sideways. Elena's paralegal Trevor dug in. Pritchett's title insurance was through a shell company, bonded via a Cayman account with maybe 10% of required funds. If condos couldn't sell because land was stolen, buyers lost everything, insurance wouldn't cover, Randall faced personal liability that could bankrupt generations. I attended the HOA meeting, legally open but never advertised. Darlene ran it like a revival. Power blazer, TV smile, handing out reassurance. Our beautiful expansion will increase property values. Mr. Kowalski's frivolous lawsuit will be dismissed shortly. I raised my hand during Q&A. Every head swiveled. Mrs. Pritchett, how are you claiming adverse possession when Willow Creek didn't exist until 2019? Silence thick enough to choke on. Her smile cracked. You're misunderstanding complex legal nuances. Next question. But whispers started, phones out, Googling, seed planted. In a room of people whose home equity was on the line, doubt spreads like mold. A week later, all 4 of my truck tires slashed, clean cuts, professional, $200 damage, no witnesses. Same afternoon, an untraceable letter in my mailbox. Drop the lawsuit or we dig into your past. I don't have much past. 3 speeding tickets, 1 accidental shopping cart theft in college, but message received. They were cornered, desperate, dangerous. My wife used to say desperate people make the best enemies because they stop pretending to be civilized. She was right. I called Elena. Whatever we're doing, faster. They're panicking. Insomnia hit hard. 2 a.m. Staring at ceiling cracks like a roadmap to nowhere. Gave up, went to the attic, smelled like old wood and forgotten decades. Going through Grandpa's boxes for the 3rd time. Old tax returns, receipts for a dead tractor, Polaroid of Grandpa and Grandma on their wedding day. Then a rusted metal lockbox behind National Geographics from the 70s. Combination lock. Hit it twice, it opened. Inside, original 1961 deed, survey maps with Grandpa's penciled notes, and a letter I'd never seen. County letterhead, October 12, 1998, to Stanley Kowalski. Hands shaking, I read. When Willow Creek was proposed, the developer requested boundary modification for water, main access along my property. Grandpa refused in writing. County reviewed, sided with him, certified 1961 boundary intact. Key sentence. Boundary reviewed and certified as recorded. Request for modification denied. Matter resolved. Signed, notarized official. This wasn't evidence. It was a tactical nuke. Darlene's fraud rested on claiming a 1998 plat error needing correction. This proved the county reviewed and confirmed no error 27 years ago. Not regular fraud, fraud on the court. Lying in filings, forging narratives, the kind that gets lawyers disbarred, defendants bankrupted. I scanned it at 3 a.m. On my prehistoric printer, emailed Elena, Grandpa's insurance policy. She replied in 40 seconds, "When do we file?" I called, "We don't, not yet." Explained the plan. Sit on it. Let them commit lies under oath at the hearing. Let Darlene and her Miami lawyer testify. No county review happened. Boundary always disputed. Then drop the letter. Trap and perjury. No appeals. Elena was quiet, then laughed sharp and delighted. That's vicious, Mitch. I like it. I thought of my wife on her last chemo round. Too weak to walk, but doing crosswords, refusing to let cancer take her mind first. She taught me, you don't show strength when you're strong. You show it when everyone thinks you're beaten. By weekend, construction hit 60% complete. Darlene hosted a legal pre-sale open house. Clouded title, but betting she'd crush me. Local news ran puff piece. She glowed on my laptop about community vision. I smiled at the screen. She had no idea the noose was tightening. Elena drove up 3 days later with paralegal Trevor. Kid couldn't be over 25, laptop bag heavier than him. Kitchen table became war room. Documents everywhere, coffee mugs multiplying, legal pads like NFL playbooks. Hap wandered in with homemade apple pie. Y'all planning D-Day or just suing some underscore? Elena didn't look up. Why not both? That pie better have ice cream. We built the attack in 4 layers. Scorched earth. Layer 1. Courtroom kill shot. Let their attorney Sheldon Krause testify about 1998 plat error, commit under oath, then drop Grandpa's letter. Demand sanctions for fraud on the court. Dismiss with prejudice. Force them to pay fees. Layer 2. Financial strangulation. Trevor found Randall's loan from private equity, personally guaranteed, due in 90 days, dependent on pre-sales. Motion to freeze escrow until title resolved. Freeze money. Randall defaults, debt accelerates, seizes everything. Bankrupt without winning case. Layer 3. Media napalm. Tracked victims in 4 states. Interviews on camera. Investigative peacetime post-hearing. National outlets sniffing. Once labeled serial land fraud developer on TV done. Banks won't loan. Contractors won't work. Buyers won't trust. Layer 4. Turn HOA against itself. Drafted notices to members. Board members face personal liability, potential $10, $20K special assessments. Delivered to 15 houses. People with kids or tight budgets who couldn't afford surprises. Gwen, retired teacher, called, organizing emergency vote to remove Darlene, but needed 60%. Darlene controlled proxy votes from snowbirds. We worked on flipping them. Trevor found beauty. Contractors file mechanics liens, if unpaid. Stick to property like legal herpes. If Randall bankrupt, contractors recover from HOA assets. Tipped concrete company owed $180,000. Let them get nervous, demand payment. Also permit fraud. Pulled as HOA common area to skip review/costs. Actually, condos for sale need stricter permits. Tipped county inspectors. Temporary stop work orders bleed thousands daily in rentals/idle crews. Even if we lost in court, we wouldn't. Financial/media pressure alone destroys them. I didn't want to just destroy them. I wanted them erased, a cautionary tale. 10 days before hearing, my well pump died. Air coughing through pipes. Plumber Rick diagnosed. Sand poured down casing, deliberate, destroyed motor, contaminated system. $8,000 to fix. Was an accident, Mitch. Darlene showed up 2 days later. No athleisure. Just gray blazer, shark eyes. Let's cut the crap. $350,000 cash. Signed quitclaim today. Lawsuit disappears. I filmed. That's triple your first offer. You're panicking. She didn't flinch. I'm generous. Sheldon will bury you in discovery. $100K in fees before trial. And you'll lose because judges don't care about dead wives and sentimental orchards. The dead wife jab hit, but I stayed level. Counter, Hall Construction, admit fraud publicly, pay damages. She laughed joyless. You're insane. Our weight is. On my porch steps, small-town heroes don't beat people like us. We have resources you can't imagine. She was wrong. Resources don't win. Desperation and refusing to quit do. Next day, smear went nuclear. Blogger claimed I was under investigation for unpaid taxes. Fabrication, taxes current to the penny, but spread on Facebook. Dale asked carefully, everything okay financially? I showed receipts, but doubt lingered. Lies stain even when disproven. Cracks formed. 3 HOA members contacted me privately. Gwen, contractor Marcus, accountant Phil. Dug records after my meeting question. Nothing checked out. Gwen organizing vote, but proxies rigged. Then inspectors hit site like feds. Permit fraud, wetland encroachment, missing fire plans. Stop work order. Hap called breathless. Randall screaming at inspectors. Turned purple like grape in microwave. Lucky not ordering full demolition. Site silent. Skeletal frames. Vindication in air. Darlene melted down on Facebook. Ran about vindictive bureaucrats destroying housing because of one bitter man. Tag County governor called corruption. Comments turned, why wrong permits? On the land. Personal profit. Someone posted her records, 7-figure payday. Deleted an hour, but screenshots eternal. Elena called. Kraus filed delay motion. 60 days for discovery. Can they stall forever? Not with what we have, but need one more move. I stared at Grandpa's journal. What if we go public before hearing? Give Jamal the 1998 letter now. Force response in media. No lawyer shield. Elena, risky, shows hand early. They know they're losing. Make them lose publicly. She laughed. You're learning. Call Jamal tomorrow. Courtroom smelled like old wood polish and nervous sweat. County Courthouse. 9 a.m. Judge Helena Brandt, 60s, steel gray hair, eats unprepared lawyers for breakfast. I sat between Elena and Trevor. Sheldon Kraus arranged $1,000 briefcase like cologne ad. Randall an expensive suit, Darlene rigid, makeup not hiding sleepless nights. Gallery half full. Jamal with notebook, Gwen, HOA members, Hap in clean overalls smelling of tobacco, building inspector. Kraus opened smooth. Boundary dispute genuine, decades confusion, conflicting surveys, innocent mistakes. HOA acted in good faith. Presented boundary pros survey. Technical jargon impressive if you didn't know it was _. Painted me obstinate, clinging to technicalities, blocking progress. Judge Brandt stone-faced, noting, glancing at me. Victim or nuisance. Elena dismantled surgically. Boundary pros not licensed here until 2003. Couldn't review 1998 plat. Physical impossibility. Showed my surveyor's GPS-confirmed 1961 boundary. Aerial photos. Line never moved. Judge's interest sharpened. Elena called Randall to stand. Kraus objected, irrelevant. Judge, I'll allow it. Randall sworn, projecting confidence, jaw working overtime. Elena conversational. Mr. Pritchett, you testified in filings 1998 plat had boundary error. How discovered? Our surveyor found during due diligence. Did you personally review county records from 1998? Hesitation, he sensed danger. Relied on professional expertise. So under oath, to your knowledge, county never resolved boundary in 1998. Glance at Kraus. Microscopic nod. Correct. Unresolved. Elena walked to table, picked single document. Courtroom held breath. Your Honor, Exhibit G. Letter dated October 12, 1998, from County Planning to Stanley Kowalski. Distributed copies. Krause's face drained, hand shook reading. Elena lets silence build. This confirms boundary officially reviewed 1998 after developer requested modification. County certified as recorded, denied modification, matter resolved. No error. Never was. Silence like cliff edge. Judge read twice. Expression diamond hard. To Randall, you testified under oath to facts contradicted by government document from 27 years ago. That's perjury. Randall open mouth. Judge raised hand. To Krause, did you review county archives before filing? Your Honor relied on client representations and surveyor. Cut off. So either client lied or you failed basic due diligence. Darlene shot up, voice breaking. We were told, Judge, sit down or removed. Darlene collapsed. Judge reviewed notes, delivered end. Preliminary injunction granted, permanent. All construction ceases immediately. Adverse possession claim dismissed with prejudice. Cannot refile. Show cause hearing in 30 days why HOA shouldn't pay plaintiffs' fees plus sanctions for fraud on court. Referring Mr. Pritchett's testimony to DEA for perjury investigation. Gavel once, sharp gunshot. Adjourned. Outside steps, Jamal's camera rolling. Mr. Kowalski, how does it feel? I look straight. Not about me. About everyone they've done this to. The Nevada couple who lost everything. Next victim planned. That stops today. Darlene and Randall slipped out side exit, refusing questions, looking smaller. Hap at elbow. More entertaining than Netflix. I almost laughed. Willow Creek Community Center. Emergency HOA meeting, 7 p.m., 5 days post-hearing. 95 homeowners crammed into room for 60. AC wheezing, smelled like stress, sweat, and burnt coffee. Darlene aged 10 years and 5 days. No makeup, hair unwashed, wrinkled blazer. News cameras outside. Jamal's report aired 2 nights ago. 400K views, regional/national pickup. Phil opened. Financial apocalypse. $180K contractor liens. $85,000 legal. Potential $200,000 sanctions for $1,100 special assessment per household. Room detonated. Shouts. Woman crying about new house. Phil shouted over chaos. This is what happens when nobody watches people in charge. Darlene last stand. Voice shaking. Temporary. Tried to increase values. One selfish neighbor. Biased judge. Gwen shot up. Stop lying. You told us land hours. I read transcript. Committed fraud. Marcus. My family's savings in this house. You destroyed equity with illegal __. Darlene speechless. First time. Phil grew spine. Reviewed books. You authorized $140,000 legal without board approval. Bylaws require majority over $25,000. Violated rules. Gambled our money. Room buzzed angry realization. Leader bet homes on scam. Someone shouted, Kowalski's here. Let him talk. Swivel heads. Some hostile, mostly exhausted. I stood. Elena touched arm. Not here to gloat. You're victims like me. Pritchett's ran scam Nevada, Arizona, Texas. Crushed retired couple in Nevada. Darlene counted on trust without checking. Paused. Way out. Vote remove board. Settle officially. Formalize boundary. Drop claims. I'll ask judge waive sanctions against HOA. Go after Pritchett's personally. Vote swift, brutal. Motion remove entire board. Darlene played proxy cards. Phil demolished. Proxies don't cover removal per Robert's rules. Void. Final. 87 yes. For no. For abstain. Darlene frozen, then walked outside door, staring ahead, trying invisibility. Outside media frenzy. Jamal's piece everywhere. 4-state pattern. 1998 letter courthouse footage. My clip. That stops today. 3 news vans. Randall caught outside house. Did you commit perjury? Sweating. No comment. Which hunt? Talk to surveyor. Became meme. Rich guy blaming help when caught stealing. Next morning, for sale sign on Pritchett McMansion. Moving trucks by afternoon. Neighbor to Jamal. Fleeing like roaches when lights come on. Darlene never spoke publicly again, digital ghost. Gwen visited week later with interim board, settlement papers. HOA drops everything, pays $35,000 legal costs, public apology. Brought brass plaque. Install at community center honoring neighbors, standing for right. My name if allowed. Throat tight. Use grandfather's Stanley Kowalski. He protected first. I finished fight. Gwen eyes wet. Both names then. Quick hard hug. Thank you beyond words. 3 weeks later, Judge Brandt ruled. Pritchett's personally liable $127,000 sanctions, non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. Pritchett Properties, Chapter 11, assets auctioned like fraud, going out of business sale. Half-built site, sold legitimate developer, dismantled frames, restored prairie grass / wildflowers. Watching structures come down felt like tumor removal. Sheldon Krause bar investigations, 3 states. Suspended 18 months. Boundary Pros lost licenses westwide. Same scam, dozen projects. Machine dismantled piece by piece. Darlene / Randall fled Florida. Randall supervising maintenance for brother-in-law, Darlene social media ghost. I didn't celebrate suffering, not that guy. Celebrated no more victims. Prevention beats revenge. Paid Elena full. Tried refusing last $15,000 as pro bono. Insisted. Earned every penny, especially Krause's face going white. She laughed. Cash check. 6 months post-victory, barbecue for helpers, 60 people. Hap, Gwen, Phil, Marcus, Jamal, Elena, Trevor, Diane from records. Kids ran fields where bulldozers tore earth. Bluegrass band under pines. Grilled meat, fresh grass, hope in air. Hap emotional. Your wife would be damn proud. Throat tight. Yeah, she knew I was stubborn enough. Land became Kowalski Conservation Meadow, nonprofit community space. 47 acres, 12 preserved native prairie pollinators, 30 garden plots cheap to families, small amphitheater volunteers built. Hap joke carpentry good for folk music. Educational trail ecology plus property rights, teaching scam spotting, elementary classes, field trips, kids learning standing to bullies works, worth every sleepless night. Established Stanley Kowalski Land Stewardship Scholarship, $5K annually environmental science, engineering, law. First recipient Marcus's daughter, environmental lawyer. Marcus cried presentation. Turned nightmare into daughter's dream. Shook her hand. Laws protect powerless, not enable powerful, but only if people fight. She fierce, won't forget. Believed her. Annual harvest tradition. First year, 800 people, vendors, food trucks, picnic blankets. Short speech, uncomfortable mic. Land almost stolen through fraud. Instead ours, everyone's. Ending corruption doesn't get when people refuse quit. Applause, thundered meadow. I understood grandpa. Lana's plans. Willow Creek transformed under Gwen. Bylaws rewritten. Transparency required. Votes mandatory. Other communities copied. Gwen to reporters. Unchecked power always goes bad. Check every time. Planted new apple sapling where orchard was. Buried box roots. Wife's favorite poem, grandpa's photo, journal page. Alone afternoon light. They tried erasing history. Instead taught why matters. Evening phone rang. Woman Montana, voice shaking, saw story. City council taking ranch eminent domain private development. Lying public use. Don't know do. Smiled, fresh notebook, start beginning. Tell everything, always another fight. Another needs stand against powerful. Learn most important. Don't need biggest / richest. Just refuse stop. If fought HOA tyrants, corrupt officials, anyone stealing yours, drop story below. Not alone. Silence what they count on. Let's change that. Subscribe. Next week's Wild. Small-town librarian bankrupted entire city council using bylaws plus 20 years patience. Revenge surgical. Need see drone shot meadow golden hour. Families gardens, kids trails, music amphitheater. Pan farmhouse porch coffee, mountains gold sunset. Fight isn't just winning. Making damn sure can't do next person. We appreciate time with HOA Stories, where HOA finally gets checked. Enjoy drama. Like, comment favorite part, subscribe, first catch next showdown.